Today we will talk about Prophet Sulieman, the son of Prophet Dawood. Allah granted him the ability to speak with birds and ants, so he could understand the language of animals. God also subjected the jinn to his commands. Jinn in Islamic cultures are similar to spirits or demons in other traditions. They are not necessarily evil. Some are good and some are bad. God also subjected the wind to his command and caused the molten copper to flow for him. He was given a great kingdom that no one else had ever possessed. We will also talk about his stories with the ant, the hoopoe, hoopoe, and the kingdom of Sheba, Saba, and his death. Prophet Sulieman, peace be upon him, inherited the kingdom of his father, but Allah granted him unique gifts that made his rule exceptional. He was not just a king, he was a prophet with control over nature and creatures in a way no one before or after him had. Allah had blessed Prophet Sulieman, peace be upon him, with a mighty army, which consisted of humans, his soldiers, jinn, supernatural beings that served him, birds who helped with scouting and communication. His army was highly organized. One day, as Prophet Sulieman and his army were traveling through a valley of ants, an ant noticed the approaching army. The ant, fearing that the soldiers might crush the ants without noticing, warning its fellow ants, "Oh ants, enter your home, so that Sulieman and his soldiers don't crush you while they are unaware." When Prophet Sulieman heard the ants' words, he smiled and thanked Allah for his blessings. Allah granted Sulieman the power to control the wind, making his journey swift and effortless. With this gift, he could travel great distances in just hours, ruling over vast lands efficiently. Control over the jinn. As I told you, jinn in Islamic cultures are similar to spirits or demons in other traditions, but they are not necessarily evil. Some are good and some are bad. Another incredible gift was his authority over the jinn. These supernatural beings built great palaces, dived into the depth of the sea, and carried out tasks under his command. The jinn made for him massive structures, statues, basins as large as reservoirs, and cooking pots fixed in their places. At that time, smelting metals required intensive heat and advanced techniques, but Allah made it easy for Sulieman by making copper flow naturally. Prophet Sulieman had a vast army that included humans, jinn, and birds. One day, while inspecting his troops, he noticed that the hoopoe, hoopoe, was missing. He said, "Why do I not see the hoopoe, hoopoe, or is he among the absentees? I will surely punish him severely or slaughter him unless he bring me a clear reason." Sulieman's reaction showed his discipline as a rule. He didn't tolerate carelessness in his army. However, he was also just giving the hoopoe a chance to explain itself. The hoopoe said, "I discovered the kingdom of Sheba, Saba. I found a woman ruling over a rich and a powerful nation, but they worshipped the sun instead of Allah, God." This news makes Sulieman wanted to guide them to monotheism. Sulieman said, "We will see whether you are truthful or lying. Take this letter of mine and deliver it to them. Then step aside and observe what they will decide." The hoopoe delivered the letter, which began with, "Indeed, it's from Sulieman. It reads in the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Don't exalt yourself against me, but come to me in submission to Allah." The queen gathered her advisors and said, "O my people, indeed a noble letter had been delivered to me. It's from Sulieman." Her advisors, being warriors, suggested war. We are a people of strength and great military might, but the decision is yours. However, the queen was wise and cautious. She decided to test Sulieman first by sending him gifts to see his reaction. When the queen messengers arrived with expensive gifts, Sulieman was unimpressed. He said, "Don't offer me wealth. What Allah has given me is better than what He has given you. Return to the queen and tell her we will come with soldiers you can't resist." By rejecting the gifts, Sulieman showed that he wasn't seeking wealth, but calling them too fake. When I analyzed why Prophet Sulieman decided to send an army and use force, even though there is no compassion in religion, I found that the queen first tried to bribe him with gifts. However, Sulieman wasn't interested in wealth. His goal was to spread faith in Allah among her people. The queen wouldn't have allowed him to spread the message of monotheism in her kingdom unless he gained control over her land. Only then would her people recognize the existence of Allah and abandon sun worship. They would still have the freedom to accept or reject the faith, but at least they would have been aware of the truth. As a prophet, his mission was to introduce people to Allah, either by making the queen believe in Allah and convey the message to her people, or by ensuring that they were informed about Allah's existence. If the queen had completely refused this idea, her people would never have known about Allah or Sulieman's message. At that time, there was no internet or globalization like today, where anyone can easily learn about the different religions. Back then, information was limited, and people only know what their rulers allowed them to know. This is my personal analysis. Now, let's return to our story. Prophet Sulieman knew that the queen would come to negotiate with him. Before the queen arrived, Sulieman wanted to show her Allah's power. He asked his army, "Which of you can bring me the queen's throne before she comes to me?" A strong jinn said, "I could bring it before you stood up." But another, with knowledge from the book, brought it in the blink of an eye. If he was a man or jinn, Allah knows, we don't know. When Sulieman saw the throne, he thanked God. To further test the queen, Sulieman ordered some modification to the throne, so she would recognize his power. When the queen arrived, she was asked, "Is your throne like this?" She replied, "It looks as if it is the same." She was amazed, realizing that Sulieman has knowledge and power beyond human capabilities. Then she was invited into a palace with a glass floor that looked like water. Thinking it was deep water, she lifted her dress slightly to avoid getting wet. Sulieman explained, "It's a palace paved with glass." At that moment, she understood the greatness of Allah and declared, "My Lord, indeed I have wronged myself, and I submit with Sulieman to Allah, the Lord of the world." The queen believed in Allah without war and invited her people to worship Allah instead the sun. After the Queen of Sheba, Saba, embraced Islam, Islam means submission to Allah. During the time of Prophet Sulieman, peace be upon him, her people initially followed the right path. However, generations later, they turned away from Allah's guidance, leading to their downfall. God, Allah, caused a devastating flood, and the lush gardens turned into barren lands. Prophet Sulieman loved showcasing the fine, swift, prancing horses. He asked his soldiers to bring the horses back to him, so that he could stroke their necks and legs after they had moved away and disappeared from his sight. Despite his unmatched power, Sulieman was still a human being. His death came in a way that revealed the limits of the jinn. Sulieman died while leaning on his staff, and the jinn, thinking he was still alive, continued working. They only realized his death when a termite gnawed through his staff, causing his body to fall. This event proved that jinn don't have knowledge of the unseen. Thank you for watching.